Hey, we're live. We're
What's
live.
up, everyone?
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to our live. We've got some great stuff for you guys. Or
Yes,
like KJ's
yes.
got some great stuff for everyone here. She's got the goodies, you
I'm
know,
trying. I'm working on it.
all the golden
Um,
nuggets.
yeah, actually, let me make sure that this live is what's it called, public on my account. Otherwise, I won't see comments. And I broadcast it on your Facebook too, Oscar.
Okay. Yeah, I had to mess with mine too.
I have to do it every time for some reason.
Me too.
Okay, fixed it.
Me too. I'm good.
There we go. What's up, Joel?
Got Joel in the house. What's up, Joel?
He's like our number one fan, like our number one follower.
That's because Joel's taking consistent action. He's getting things done.
Really. We got some more fans in the house. What's up, guys? How are you? Um, we just take a moment, let some more people hop on. Hey, Victor.
What's up, Victor?
Man, Victor's crushing it.
Yeah, he's definitely crushing it.
All right, guys. So the goal today is to talk about um, our process of calling brokers and just how we do it, what our thoughts are on doing it. Like, I guess just like the behind the scenes of what we've learned. I've had several people reach out wanting to help us find deals, so I figured this was a good Zoom for us to do or a live. So you guys can go out and take action as well and be able to go and have conversations with brokers, get the information you need, and have confidence in talking to them. Because I remember the first time I talked to brokers, it was very nerve-wracking. I think the first day me and Oscar did calling brokers, I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna watch you, Oscar. I'm not gonna do anything." I just sat there and watched Oscar for the whole day. And then the next day I was like, okay, I can't just sit here and watch. I've got to take action and learn it. So um that's what we started doing, and then it got easier and easier. And honestly, if you are familiar with talking to agents, it's kind of the same thing, except for you're changing what you're talking about. Not single family, you're talking about multifamily. But it's kind of similar in the sense of how you're going to carry the conversation. So, did you want to add anything, Oscar, or do you have anything to say?
No, no, I think so. For those of you who don't know, KJ and I and Carolyn call brokers in order for us to find some potential leads or deals for multifamily. And so, what KJ was talking about when she first started calling brokers, um, she was listening to my conversations and how I navigated those conversations. But she's done it enough times now that it almost comes naturally to her, but the way she got there was because she practiced and honed her skills. So she's now able to navigate a conversation by herself, and she arguably can probably do it better than me in sometimes because she knows the right questions to ask, and she's been asking really really good questions that even I'm learning as I listen to her, and vice versa. She'll listen to me as well, and she'll learn some of the new things or how to handle objections, right? So there's a lot of things that you guys, when you're talking to brokers, you have to know at least some of the lingo starting off, or listen to someone like KJ or myself when we did broker calls live, and she might do some here in a little bit, depending. But listen to those conversations and how you navigate them and how you talk and how you present yourself is probably the most important thing. And KJ can go into more into detail. But yeah, no, that's all I kind of wanted to say is just make sure that if you are going to do broker calls, that at least you know some of the lingo going in there.
Yeah, I think Carolyn should be hopping on soon too. Us three, we really that's our main goal, is talking to brokers and building relationships. We're the visionaries of our team, and honestly, we each kind of have our own spill of way we say things and the way we handle things. So depending on the situation or the deal or whatever it is that we're in, sometimes it's better for Carolyn, sometimes it's better for Oscar. Oscar, or sometimes it's better for me. It really just depends. And we kind of lean on each other and our each other's experience or just how we handle things. So I would say the most important thing for you when talking to brokers is not to be scared. And when I first started calling brokers, I had no idea about anything with real estate. Um, well, in the sense of multifamily, I knew regular real estate, but like multifamily real estate, I was like, I don't understand this stuff. Hey, Carolyn,
Hey.
welcome, welcome. I'm just on here telling them um, when you're first starting calling brokers, I think it's good to understand multifamily in a sense. But like, I think the best way I learned was just by calling and waiting for them to ask me those uncomfortable questions and getting put on the spot for me to really learn. Because I mean, when I first started calling, I really didn't know much other than like the basics. Okay, this is our buy box. These are the things that I need from them. And then when they would hit me with questions I wasn't sure of, then I'd be like, oh gosh. I'd be like, oh gosh. But depending on what it was, I could be like, oh, I need to ask my partner, or you could kind of throw it on someone else. But I think the best way to do it is just taking action and doing it. So I think the most important things that you need to know is, what is your buy criteria? That's the first thing that brokers are going to ask. I'm so out of breath. Sorry. The first thing that they're going to ask for is, what are you looking for? And do you want to explain that to them? I'm like really hot. I need to turn the fan on.
Yes, I can explain. So for our buy box, they're going to be like, what are you looking for? What's going on? So you're going to disclose what that is. And for us, our criteria is 40 units and up. Ideally, probably closer to the 100 range where we'd like to start at, but we'll go down to a minimum of 40. And then we're looking at Class A, Class B, Class C properties with a cap rate between 4.5 and 8%. And we want to look at value add opportunities for the property. So we want to be able to raise rents. We want to be able to add amenities or pet fees or parking fees or something like that. And then a lot of brokers will be like, yeah, I'm in multifamily, but I work in land development. And so that's something that we're not currently focusing on right now. And I don't know that we ever will. But at the moment, we're like, we don't want any land development opportunities. We'd like something that's stabilized to a point, but it also has room for growth and potential to, make our money on it, to make our profit. And, of course, they'll be looking in the market that we're calling for. But I always try to let them know, like, we're looking in San Antonio and Dallas and Corpus Christi and Houston, or wherever the primary markets are around the market you're calling, but also letting them know, like, we're open to, secondary and even tertiary markets if it makes sense for us. And obviously off-market deals would be ideal, but we'll take a look at stuff that you have on market. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that we didn't figure out though until we were making calls. We ran into somebody who had this amazing offer. I was like, wow, like this sounds like we hit gold. And it was it was development. Like, it wasn't a stabilized apartment yet. It was, hey, we are developing this property. Do you want to partner with us where you'll get first right of refusal to buy this property? And I was like, wow, like that sounds great. We'll start off with the Class A, and like that's really cool that we would be able to have this connection. But what we learned is that when you're getting a property that isn't stabilized and it's still being built from the ground up, you're basically buying a property. It's like you're buying a business that hasn't been started yet. You're basically going to start a business from scratch. And we are not wanting to go start a business from scratch. We want to get ahead of the game. We're trying to save time and make money. And that means buying a property that's already stabilized, already has tenants, and the property already is running. And that's the best way to get ahead of the game, is buying a property that already has people in it. So I was like, wow, well, I guess that's out of the question now. I was like, I've had several brokers come up to me, or not come up to me, but like on the phone, they would tell me, hey, we've got, 1,400 units. And I was like, what? Like, oh my gosh, I hit the jackpot. Like, someone's got this many units for me to like look at. And then they're like, they're being developed. And I was like, wow, okay, never mind. Now I know. But that was something that I had to learn. And then, what type of question threw me off? I think the questions that still kind of I get hung up on are the financial questions. And I think Carolyn went through this too not long ago. It's like,
Yes.
You want to tell them yours?
Yes, I have 2 little girls screaming in the background, so beware. And a full-grown husband also doing that too. So I had a question the other day that they asked, how is your debt structured? And what the true underlying question of that was is like, it was more or less like, do you have your money raised, or do you have to go raise your money for the deal? At the essence of it. So I was like, he asked that, and I didn't necessarily know how to, and I was like, how is our debt structured? I kind of like questioned it back to him. Like, why are you asking me? And he gave me like kind of the answer. He's like, well, are you syndicating? Do you have like a private fund or da, da, da? And I was like, oh no, we're not syndicating. We would be the principal. And, so it gave me a little, I didn't have like a full blown awesome rebuttal for it, but it gave me just enough to say like, no, we're not syndicating. We're going to be the principal on it. And like,
so hold on, you threw out the word principal. I didn't even know what that word meant until it got put on me. It got put on me in a phone call too, and I used context clues because when they questioned me, are you principal or are you a realtor? And I was like, I'm not a realtor, so I guess I'm principal. And then now I picked up on it. Principal just means that you're the buyer, you're the one bringing money to the table. But that's just some of the keywords that like they're gonna use. And I think Quantel asked, what's some of the hardest objections or pushbacks you've gotten from commercial brokers? I think I think some of the hard things, I think the one with the St. Louis was sometimes they want to really, really vet you and make sure you're very serious. So you definitely want to have a team or a sponsor or somebody that can back you, help you get financials, proof of funds, a bio. They're going to want to know, oh, so how many properties do you own? So
they're going to disqualify as much as they can.
So I've heard Oscar say this before. He's so smooth on the phone. Like, I wish I could be Oscar sometimes, the way he talks to people. He was telling them that we've got a few under our belt, but that we have sponsors that will back us and are ready to come to the table. And this is what they own. So that way we're not really having to lie or have to like show our credentials to the seller or to the broker, but it's like, hey, like we're not there, but we have someone that will back us. So that way they know, hey, you're not some newbie that can't perform. Because we did have a broker that he prejudged us. And then we got on a Zoom. And then when Oscar dropped all the information about having a sponsor and how we're ready to buy Class A properties, he's like, wow, he's like, I was disqualifying these properties, but he's like, I'm going to put them all back in an Excel sheet for you and let you guys look at them because we look young, so, and we talk like we're younger. And so sometimes those are things that you're going to run into. And if you just know how to navigate the conversation in a way that it still benefits you guys, then it's probably the best way to go. And there was one broker that like we recently got our official email, and I think our Gmail email kind of scared him off because it's apparent that like we're probably not buying like huge deals if we have that email. So I had sent him the info. He's like, oh, I've got these off-market deals. I'll send them to you. And then he started ghosting me. And I was calling him. He wouldn't respond. He wouldn't read my text anymore. I was like, So I was like, you know what? That's okay. Have Carolyn call him and be like a whole new person, have a whole new spiel, have a whole new email now. So I think one thing to help you get over the fear is like, if you mess up, just have someone else call them.
Yeah.
I mean, these people don't know you. It's kind of like talking to sellers. If you mess up the call with the seller, well, you can just wait a little while. They probably won't remember you or remember the conversation or, So I think having that mentality has helped me get over the fear of messing up or not knowing what I'm talking about. there's so many times where they trip me up on stuff that I'm like, I don't know what to say, but kind of just go with the flow, kind of just wing it or I change the subject or however. Let's see, what other? Do you want to answer some questions in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
I don't know if we have any. How does submitting the offer portion work with brokers compared to single family agent outreach? Ooh, okay. So I'm not the one that's specifically submitting the offers, but based on just like the observation, Myron's usually the one creating the letters of intent and writing those up and submitting those. So typically how it goes, and KJ, jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but like you'll establish that relationship and then you'll obviously have like an NDA or some sort of non-compete documentation to sign to start the review analyzation process of underwriting. And once you're ready to submit, you'll create your letter of intent and that will have all the necessary, it's an offer. Yeah. It's like a preliminary offer. It's nothing that's completely binding. Just make sure you have your correct verbiage and vernacular in place on your letter of intent to make it not screw you over in any way, if possible. And so you would just submit that and it would be that presentation. Whereas a single family agent offer, you can like casually write up in an email. I've sent them in a text, like it's very informal and you just kind of lay out the terms that you want with a realtor versus a broker. You obviously want to present this in a much more professional format and have everything laid out like it would in a contract, even though this is not a contract, but you want to be taken more seriously. And this is like you're buying, a potential 50-door building. Like this isn't just, buying a regular 3-2 down the block, Yeah,
no, that's a good explanation. It's definitely like if you were to send an email or a text, I don't know if they would take you seriously. But I mean, you
have a really good relationship with the broker to be on that type of level, but no, you want to always present yourself as professional and organized and put together as possible when you're doing this.
Yeah. So, it's just a 1-page or 2-page document and you just type in, this is my offer. So it's not a binding contract. It's not anything other than just a fancy way of saying, here's my offer. So that's pretty much the only difference. Let's see. We got another question. Joel said he heard Oscar say principal and that's what he used. I know I picked up on that from listening to people too. It helps. What are some major questions you should be ready to answer with the broker? It's a good question. They're going to ask how many units. They're going to ask location, cap rate. One of them asked me what kind of return do you want on your property? That one actually got me stumped. I still don't really know the answer for that. I told him, I was like, I think that was the first call I really like got stumped. I was like, that's a good question. I said that to him. So I played it back to, I was like, well, it's on deal by deal. I was like, it's case by case, dependent on where it's at, what kind of class. I was playing it off like that. I was like, it's really dependent. I'm not sure. I was like, but I do know we want at least $1 million in upside. So that's what I told him. I say, I don't know the cash on cash return that we want, but I know we want $1 million in upside, however that happens. So what I usually tell brokers is like, I want at least $100 in rent upside. I want to be able to raise the rent at least $100 when I buy this property. So that's part of what I tell them as my buy box now. Is there anything else I'm not thinking of, Carolyn?
Oh my God, where'd you go? Did I just lose you?
Are you not here?
I don't know where you went. There you are. Okay, sorry. I was looking something up as far as what the cash on cash return goes for multifamily. And it's like even as simple as Googling that, because I literally just did that. What's a good cash on cash return in multifamily? It's at 8 to 12%. So you could tweak that how you would like. Maybe in a tertiary market, I would go for 8% because it's a little less, there's not the population isn't there, the growth density and like the jobs and blah, blah, blah. So, it's not going to maybe potentially provide such a high return, but obviously there might be deals that are. But let's see, what other questions? Yeah, that big one that I got was like, how is your debt structured? Or like, where is your money coming from, really? Like, what do you have, essentially? Like, they want to disqualify you. If it's a good broker, they're going to grill you a little bit because they don't want to go around with tire kickers. And that's understandable because we know that game too. It's just they're just playing the reverse role on us. So for me, typically, if I don't trip myself up in calls, I will try my best to address all the information up front before they even ask. So it's like, I'm looking for a 40 plus unit in the market. We're expanding there over the upcoming months, class A, B, C, the cap rate. We want value add opportunities, so no land developments. And we're also looking in these markets. And, just like we have about roughly 300 million to deploy throughout the end of the year. And that like almost shuts a lot of them up because they're like, oh, wow, that's a good start. Like, okay, we're working with something here, and then you just kind of go into third party stories of like, we have some in North Carolina and Atlanta. We just got a 43 unit in San Angelo and blah, 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 all that stuff. And so just getting your credibility out of the way typically like makes them ease up a bit. But obviously, if you run into questions, you just be like, you know what? I'm not usually the ones doing the outreach today. The person that is out of whatever, just make some shit up. And like, I can go back to my team and ask them and I can email you back. Like, what's your best email that I can reach back out to you?
Definitely.
Kind of
I mean, even Joseph, remember when he was first calling brokers, and like what we tell people is our goal in the next 7 years is to buy $1 billion in assets. And Joseph goes, we're trying to buy $1 billion in this year, in 1 year. And like immediately, like their ears perk up, their attitude change. But like, I mean, obviously, I don't know. $1 billion in 1 year is a lot. And yeah, that was a funny one. That was funny. But I mean, you're gonna trip up and say things that you shouldn't and probably mess up. But I mean, those are the times that we look back and laugh about now. So let's see. What did Joelle say? Do you use dual agency or have a badass investor friendly buyer agent well aware of terms and everything? I guess I'm a little confused by the question. Do you know, Carolyn?
So he's asking if we use dual agency, like if we call a broker and say, hey, we're looking for this, and that's another question they ask, like, well, are you represented by anyone else, or who else are you working with in Houston? Like, nope, we're not represented. You would be our buyer's rep, you would rep us as a buyer, and that would be their like dual agency potentially. We don't work with currently we don't have a badass investor friendly buyer's agent. So it kind of sweetens the deal for that person that we're talking to work with us, because they would be representing us if a transaction were to go through.
But don't sign anything exclusive with anybody.
Yes, that's something that we've been running into as we are getting information from brokers. It's that initial, documentation and NDA stuff. Some of them want you to sign an exclusive agreement with them, and you don't really want to sign that.
Yeah, because otherwise, if someone else brings you a deal, and even though they had nothing to do with it, you're going to end up having to compensate them, and you don't want to do that. So if somebody's like adamant to have some type of agreement with us on a deal they want to send, I said only if it's non-exclusive, and usually they try to put in a 3% buyer's fee in there to protect themselves from if the seller doesn't pay. But I tell them, I was like, no, I'm not signing that, because how do I know you're not going to go, oh, Mr. Seller, come work with me. You won't have to pay your 3% because I already had the buyer paying and signed for on the 3%. So I just don't like that. Something doesn't sit right with me on that. It's like, oh, we make you sign the 3% in case the seller doesn't pay the 3%. And I'm like, do you not have an agreement with the seller that they pay 3%? Because to me, that just sounds like I'm getting set up to pay the 3%. So
Right.
Something to look out for. Don't make sure you're cautious about things that you sign, for sure.
Totally.
Can we drop our buy box?
Yeah. We have it on our link tree, right?
Yeah, it's in the buy criteria somewhere. So we're looking for a minimum of 40 units. We are looking for a cap rate of like 4.5% to 8%. We are looking in any landlord-friendly state. We're looking for $100 in rent upside, and we're looking for a value add opportunity, class A, B, or C.
So I just dropped the link. I dropped the link in there. Oh gosh, I don't know if people can see that since we're on YouTube and you guys are on Facebook. Hold on. Let me see if I can drop it in Facebook. But I have the link to everything that she just said and all of our other multifamily resources.
So yeah, Joelle, this is great because he says, I just threw all these things in the beginning with the broker and they didn't ask questions after. And that's kind of like me and Oscar had a Zoom with a broker. And what Oscar does, which I enjoy, is he, before even them asking, he's like, let me tell you about us and what we do. So he up front is already telling them, this is what we're doing. This is what we want. This is how we're structured. This is like all about us, right? So then he's like, and then he lets the broker tell us about them. So by the time the broker's talking to us, they don't have any questions or concerns about what we are or what we're doing or our credentials and things like that. So I think when you come in with confidence, like, this is what I want, this is what we do, this is what we have, like, how can you help me? Then they're just like, oh, okay. But if you come off as like, hi, I'm looking for this, and just waiting for them to ask you questions, then they're going to come in like, I don't really know much about this person. I don't know if they're able to perform or not, or their experience, and then have to kind of interrogate you, which sometimes it feels like that. But don't be intimidated by these people. They're just like you. They just want to not waste their time, which I understand.
And it's like, if they don't align, then they don't align. Don't get bummed out, or, there's like, who knows how many other brokers
These protections is what I was stuck on. Thanks for addressing it. Yeah, and also be careful when working with wholesalers. Honestly, I was listening to Jamil's Sunday service last night that he was doing, and he was talking about how in multifamily he does not touch anything from a wholesaler. And it was funny because everything he was explaining, the reason why is exactly why like we run into the same stuff, because the wholesalers, they aren't direct, they don't have the paperwork, they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, not everybody, but like majority of the people that you're going to get deals from, you don't know how far down the chain it is. And it just makes the deal very difficult. A lot of times they add on way more than what the asking price is supposed to be. So it just wastes a lot of time. So that's why we call brokers. We want to build relationships with them. So we're top of mind when they come across a deal. Actually, one called me this morning. I don't even remember who he was. He called me. He's like, hey, I found a 204 unit. Let me shoot you an email. So I was like, okay, cool. Good morning to you too.
Yeah,
I was like,
I
heck
literally
yeah.
I got a lead sent to us at like midnight last night. Like, awesome. But
Definitely.
gotta do our due diligence on it.
Do we have the Zoom with Oscar talking to the broker? Are you talking about a specific broker or just Oscar talking in general? We do have a previous live. I think it was me and Oscar have done one, and then me or Oscar and I think Myron have done one. If you go check out our YouTube channels, that's where everything gets posted after the lives are over. And yeah, Oscar does know his stuff. He's the one I started learning from.
He's a smarty pants.
Yeah. Does anybody have specific questions about talking to brokers? Yes, Victor. That was Victor last night asking Jamil about multifamily, and I heard their response. It was cool. I was like, okay, that's exactly aligned with what we say too. So I guess I'll explain kind of how we go about things. We have an Excel sheet that we keep track of stuff. We're waiting on our CRM to be finished being built out, which would be amazing. But we have a Excel sheet, and me and Carolyn will pick a city for the day, and we will call minimum 30 brokers. And so we'll just call them and say, hey, so and so, this is Kelly. How are you? And they're like, we're good. And I always ask them up front, are you in multifamily? Like, are you in the multifamily space? Because not everybody I call is in the multifamily space. Or there's people I call that only touch a multifamily deal like one time a year. And so those are the people that like I kind of want to weed out. Like they're weeding us out. Well, I'm trying to weed them out too. So I'm trying to figure out, excuse me. I'm trying to figure out who I'm dealing with, because also I call agents sometimes and they want to go find deals for me, but at the same time you got to remember they're going to want to be represented, or they're going to want to represent you, and then they're going to want their fees and things like that. So it's always good to have an upfront contract with these people of what your expectations are, and also like what you agree with and don't agree with. So like that goes back to the 3% and like signing a non-exclusive and these things like that, because sometimes they might just send you something and then maybe you're not thinking about it and you sign it and then you're screwed. So ask these people what their expectations are, because there was one person that was very honest with me. He's like, I'm not going to find you deals unless you sign an agreement with me, and I have people paying me 4%. I was like, okay, that's fine, we're not a good fit. That's totally fine. We don't have to do business together. And I appreciate you for being transparent with me, because obviously I don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste mine. So I'm totally cool with people being like that. So I think just being like that with people as well will save you a lot of time.
Awesome. Alexis asks, what happens if the broker asks for proof of funds before sending anything over? I mean, we've had that happen, and like that's kind of just we've accepted it as a bit of normalcy in this world. Not every broker is going to ask that, but some will, just to see like, how serious are you? Do you have skin in the game before I even just start sending? Because 9 out of 10, it's coming from brokers and sellers who have been burned from offers dropping out and from all this stuff. They want to know that you have the backing for it. So it's not that big of an issue. KJ, do you have anything?
No, I mean, I don't see it as a big deal, but also vet the person as well. Make sure they're not a wholesaler. Make sure that they are an actual broker and not a realtor or whatever. I mean, just like they're vetting you, you want to vet them. So sometimes I put people on the spot and ask them questions too. Like, I want to know that you're legit. Or when we were dealing with wholesalers who said they're direct to seller, I was like, get me on the phone with the broker, get me on the phone with the seller. And all of a sudden, like, I'm not hearing from them, or, oh, well, my friend is going to call, and then my friend's going to call. I'm like, oh, so you're not direct to seller.
Right. That's a really good way to weed people out. Like, people, because I mean, we were just talking about this. We've had one deal that's been sent to us, I don't even know how many times, at least 4, maybe 5 times. And it's like, okay, everyone says they're direct to seller, direct to broker on this. Get us on a meeting. Like, we want you there. Let's, you and us and the broker or the seller, show up on a meeting. Let's go. It's cricket.
It's probably the best way to put them on the spot. But yeah, I mean, I'm like, okay, if we're gonna do a deal together, let's get on the phone. And sometimes that's the first thing I'll do, because I don't want to waste my time underwriting a deal, going through the financials. Let's just say it's a lot of work. And if you're not really direct to seller or broker, well, then that means I can't get access. I can't move forward with the deal, and it's going to waste my time. So it's just not worth it.
That's also part of our job, me and KJ, and even Oscar's job, since we're the upfront visionary outreach people of like generating leads. We want to cut back as much time and energy that is being spent, like our underwriters, because it comes through us. And if we don't vet it properly, if we don't get a deal that makes sense or have all the puzzle pieces together, our underwriters are going to get it and it's going to be trash. And where they could have been spending their time on much more focused, money producing things. So it's a true team effort and pipeline of like, we got to do our job so they can do their job consistently and efficiently.
Good way to put it. Is it easy or hard to get brokers to call you back if they don't answer the initial call? I would say it's like sellers. You've got to follow up. They're not going to call you back. They're not going to send you deals. I mean, we're dealing with that. I think that's what we were going to go through today. We've called hundreds of brokers, and we keep track of which ones answer and which ones say they're going to send us stuff and haven't sent us anything. So we have to go back and call them again. And I mean, it's just a follow-up game. You just got to be in their ear. You got to be top of mind for that person, and that's just going to take several touches, more than several, honestly, of following up and building a relationship with them. Just calling them once and then thinking that they're going to send you deals all the time is probably not going to happen. You want to like get to know these people, not just talk business, but build some type of relationship with them to where like, hey, I was thinking of you this weekend. I just got this deal that came across. Let's see how we can make it happen. So did you have anything you want to say on that, Carolyn?
I mean, I totally agree with KJ. There's a lot of follow-up that needs to happen, but some of them are like, you call and they'll send you like an auto text, like, please text me, I'm in a meeting, or I'll get back to you. Like, text them. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, if they have a number that you're able to text, just shoot them a text. And a lot of, some people respond to that differently, and they'll follow up with you, make sure you have your information, or keep it short and sweet. Don't overwhelm them, but have your email and your contact information attached, and just keep the follow-up game. But I followed up with a few the other day that left me voicemails, or they're trying to get back to me. So
Yeah, I think also, yeah, I went blank. I read last night that the pregnancy brain, when you just forget things all the time.
yeah, it's not just pregnancy brain. It's like forever. Like
It doesn't go away.
once you have
That's exciting.
when you have kids, like that memory just starts shrinking. No,
Oh, okay. The struggle. Okay, if I remember, I'll come back to it.
no worries. You're good.
Okay, let's see. Um, is the NOI more important or cash on cash? I think NOI.
NOI.
Yeah, NOI is
You want to know your
definitely.
NOI so you can get your cash on cash.
Yeah,
Like you have
definitely.
to have your actual real deal NOI numbers before you can, like, if you don't know that like solid piece of information, how do you expect to analyze what your cash on cash is going to be?
Also, always make sure you get all the important financials. You cannot underwrite a deal. So it's like I can go call brokers and get them to send me an OM, but like my underwriters can't do much with that, and that's wasting their time. So I also have to make sure that like you get all the financials. I need to know where the P&L is, the rent rolls, the T12s. I mean, the OM's nice too. So I want to see what they're underwriting it for, what they're projecting things to be. But yeah, those are definitely important. That you need to make sure you let the broker know, hey, these are the things I'm looking for. And I think saying that too shows that you know what you're doing as well.
Right. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all the questions.
I know. Any other questions? Has anyone like had any struggles talking to brokers yet? I think I don't know. I used to be scared, but it's just like, okay, I gotta hit my numbers today. Oh, and also double dialing helps. When I double dial, they'll answer sometimes, and if not, I leave a voicemail. I'll leave a voicemail, and then sometimes I'll get a call back. And then sometimes people's offices answer, and then when their office answers, instead of asking for the person I was looking for, I just say, hey, do you guys do multifamily? Because I'm like, if you guys don't do multifamily, there's no point in me waiting for another person on the phone just to tell me that. So I started doing that because it saved me a lot of time waiting for somebody to answer the phone. So I just right off the bat ask, are you in the multifamily space? Do you come across deals often? Like I'm trying to vet them.
Straight to the point, KJ. She's like, when I call the office, I don't even ask for anyone. It's like,
For
you guys.
real. I will also add to that, and this is my personal thing, is if you get a voicemail and it's just a number and they don't say their name, or they don't take the time to formally address themselves in their profession as a broker, then I kindly skip over that. Like I will not leave a voicemail. But that's my personal thing. I don't know what y'all do, but like if you're not taking the time to like brand yourself and want business, then I don't think you're in necessary alignment with me.
Definitely makes sense.
My opinion.
Yeah, so to that question, kind of what Joelle's asking, Carolyn, would you still send them like a text message or an email just in case, or are you just going to move on and like next one?
I'm just going to move on. If, let's say, I would much rather, I'm just going to move on from all of that in general if they don't like, because what if it's I don't even know if it's the right person. Anyway, but if I do get a voicemail, I will leave voicemails if they address themselves, if they say who they are and it matches who I'm trying to call. Or sometimes I will be like, okay, I'm just going to send them a text. Maybe I don't feel like leaving a voicemail. I'll send them a text. And that's totally fine for me. Or like I said before, some people will be like, in the middle of me calling, they'll send me a text like, hey, can you text me? I'm in a meeting. Or like, I'll call you back. It's kind of one of those auto responses, but
yeah, 100%
shows that they're like they're responsive to you. Like they see that you called and they don't want to ignore you and they want you to follow up with them.
Carolyn's like, let's keep it moving. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, honestly, I think we both do that because it is time consuming. Like you got to get through it and then you got to do all the follow up with them. And then when they get the deals in, you got to sift through the emails, sign agreements, get all of that done. And so a lot of times we don't like to play games like, okay, we're on a mission. We got goals to hit. We got things to do. And so the feedback I've gotten is every time I send a text, I don't get a response or they don't follow up with me and things like that. So, unless like they say, hey, text me your info and I was on the phone with them, but like texting them after they didn't answer, they usually don't respond. So I think another thing I might try doing is when I'm on a voicemail to say, hey, this is so-and-so, I just calling you about, hang up. And then they're gonna wonder what I was calling them about, and then they'll call me back. So
the ghost.
Yeah, short and simple. Left them on a cliffhanger, and that way they'll call me back.
You should definitely try it out. See how it works.
I used to do it with sellers, and it worked. It's funny.
Cool. Okay, so whenever you guys do broker phone calls, Carolyn and KJ, how fast are you guys making these calls? Like, is it like 5 minutes minimum, 10 minutes minimum? Does it depend? How do you guys handle phone calls?
As far as the conversations themselves?
Yeah, you make a phone call and you're on the phone with a broker. How long should it take?
I mean, it's kind of a case-by-case basis for some because you will get a yellow broker. I did it again. You will get a yellow broker that you're building rapport with. I was literally on the phone for almost 20 minutes with a broker because we were just like bonding. Right?
Wait, what's a yellow broker though? That's like an inside for us.
Okay. A yellow, like it's like a yellow seller, someone who's just gonna like keep talking and like, you know, they're not mad or unpleasant. They're just like, you know, happy to be on the phone with you. And it's like, okay, you know, some of those I will entertain. Just depends on what they sound like and who they are, whatever. But for me, I like to keep them pretty short and sweet. I'd say no more than 10 minutes. I'd say 5 is a good sweet spot for me. It's like, I'm like, do you do multifamily first off? And if you say no, okay, great. Do you know anyone in your network or circle that does? And if they say no, okay, great. Good luck. Have a great day. Bye. Like, I just want to address, do you do multifamily first before I start expending my energy and telling all my story? And just for them to say, actually, no, I don't. Sorry. Like,
yeah. I feel like a robot sometimes. Like when you get your flow down and like your little spill that you say, spill, however you say that, I don't know. Like each of us has it differently. The Oscar says it a certain way, Carolyn says it a certain way, and I say it a certain way. But like you get it down and it just flows just right. And like I'll sit on the couch with my heating pad and my feet up with my laptop on my lap, and I'll just sit there and go through the calls, and Joseph's probably listening like, damn, like I repeat the same thing word for word over and over again. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh. But it just becomes that easy. I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to think about it at all. I don't have to write notes. I don't have to be like, oh my gosh. But I mean, you'll get tripped up here and there, but you just go with the flow and navigate the conversation. I mean, you figure it out. Oscar's good at that.
Yeah, sure. I think it kind of all depends. Kind of like what Carolyn said, it's a case by case, right? Like when you start talking to these brokers, your real intent, aside from getting a deal, should be to talk to build a relationship with them, right? So if they open up to you and you guys have great rapport, then they're going to like you. And the first step in getting a lead sent to you is because the person has to like you. And if they don't, they're not going to work with you. So you should be talking to brokers with the intent of building a long-term relationship with them. And I hear Carolyn and KJ, whenever they call, that's what they say. It's like, hey, we're here trying to make money together. So if we can build a relationship for long term that we can both make money, let's do it. And I hear them say that all the time, and that's key because they listen to that. They just don't want a one and go type of thing. Like they want to keep bringing the deals to an investor, and also an investor that can perform, backed up by the team that they say the things that they say they're going to do. So I think that's important. Whenever they're talking on the phone, I listen to that, and that's great because now they get brokers sending them deals. And like KJ said earlier, she's like, I don't know who was calling me the other day, but they're like, I got 204 units. Here you go. But that's probably because they remembered her in that conversation. So you guys got to keep that in mind. Build a relationship with these brokers.
Definitely.
Yep. Totally agree.
I tell them up front when I'm on the phone with them, like Oscar said, I tell them, I'm like, I am looking to build a relationship with you. I want us both to make money. I am here to buy a lot of properties. We are looking to buy aggressively, and I need someone that can provide us something, like can bring something to the table for us to look at continuously. And so you kind of set your expectations, your credentials, your credibility, all of the above. Like when they feel that, oh my gosh, this person's serious, then they take you serious and they'll want to go and do stuff for you. But if they think you're someone that is just screwing around, they're not going to go remember you or take the time to go find stuff for you. Like when me and Oscar established that with a broker we got on Zoom with, like we just got sent like 7 or 8 deals that we need to look at. I think Ione's looking at them and I'm like, oh wow, like this guy took the time to put it all together and find it all because he knows we're serious and we're ready to perform.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome. I think we got through all of our questions. Cool. So are we just doing follow-up today or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Guys, like we said, this whole thing about multifamily, it's all about a team sport. Like everyone here has something to do. And if you're doing it by yourself, I would encourage you to go either be part of a team or go build out a team and find ways that you can bring value to those people that you're around, because that's how you're going to do this multifamily. Yeah, it's just, guys, can you imagine, KJ, Carolyn, if you're doing this by yourself? Can you imagine that?
No.
I probably wouldn't do it.
No, I wouldn't do it. Or I'd be like so procrastinator. Like,
yeah, I feel like we definitely push each other. Yeah, we definitely push each other because I would be like, okay, I got a deal, but now what? Because like I like pushing it to our underwriters. I don't want to deal with it. Like I love that, and I'm sure they feel the same. They don't want to go call brokers and deal with talking to people. They just want to look at the computer and like analyze deals. Yeah. So I think it works out good. But so everybody knows, I know we lost a lot of people, but we created a Facebook group called Multifamily, the $1 Million Upside. And that's where we're going to start posting our Zooms, our lives, all the information, our resources, and things like that. Because we are going to have an underwriting Zoom on Friday at 12 p.m. Central. And then we have another live tonight. That's Q&A at 7:30 Central. And then we have another live on Friday at 10 a.m. Central. So to be able to keep up and get alerts and know where to find everything that we post, we created a Facebook group. And you can also find information on our Instagram and things like that. But we're trying to get a little more organized. And it also has our office hours. So if you guys have deals that you want us to look at or need help with, it's listed on the Facebook group at the top. It tells you our office hours, our Zoom hour, and our lives. That way you can hop in at the appropriate time.
I posted the link there. Come follow us. Stay up to date with us. I'm sure we're going to have way more information to put in there soon. But yeah, like she said, we're getting more organized.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yay. I feel like that concludes our live for today.
Yes.
Unless anybody else has any other question.
Love it.
Okay, cool.
Guys.
Well, then thanks for coming to our broker talk. Yes,
on YouTube.
We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on
everywhere.
On Instagram, that's where we promote ourselves, but we don't go live on there because it doesn't connect with StreamYard. But
we'll start going live on Instagram more.
Comment, like, and subscribe. Picture a little ding,
Awesome. Love it.
Y'all are awesome. Thanks for everyone who came on here and asked questions and supported us. We got more stuff coming y'all's way.
We will be on, like KJ said, later tonight at 5:30 MST, 7:30 CST, 8:30 AST.
And it's all Q&A. So bring all your problems, bring all your questions in regards to anything in multifamily. That's what we'll be going over.
Yeah. I think we'll probably go for like an hour or so. So yeah, bring your questions and we'll be super happy to answer. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.